All right, now we're getting to
The meat.
the meat of the
The
trailers
meat of
that
the
we've got.
episode.
We got another Logan trailer,
Yeah.
and now we get to see this little girl
We got so much stuff in this
who's
trailer.
apparently X-23.
Yes.
Which is what I kind of believe that they alluded to at the end of Apocalypse.
Yeah. I don't remember the end of Apocalypse very much.
But it looks like this is going to take place, I believe, 6 or 7 years after the end of Days of Future Past, where he had like the holographic alarm clock, and Jean Grey was alive, and Rebecca Romaine Stamos was still Mystique, you know?
Yeah.
Instead of Jennifer Lawrence.
Mm-hmm.
But this is supposed to take place after that. So we've got Logan, we've got Professor X, and then we have this little girl, X-23. And that's really all we see out of the mutants, as far as I can tell, in this trailer. But also, there's that bit of meta, self-referential shit in there that we've been talking about that's pretty much been the theme of all the trailers. We got an X-Men fan. We got X-Men comics in there. Now, what I read was that they had to recreate those comics with the original artists because they can't necessarily show Marvel comics.
Right.
Because it's a Fox movie or whatever company owns it. I believe it is Fox. But yeah, so Professor X is 90. He's just this frail old man rocking a fedora. And it's like a road trip movie.
A little bit.
And it looks
like
so...
it's a little bit of a road trip movie.
Right. And as far as like, you know, we talk about like the dark blues and gray color palette of the Power Rangers movie. This more seems like more of like a Mad Max, like a yellow sepia toned type post-apocalyptic kind of color palette that you get from that. And that's probably what they're going for, of course. But what did you think? Like anything stand out in particular with you? I
mean, that kid has got some skills as far as like all of the fighting and stunt work that she would have had to do, or you know,
but
little tiny human being shooting all that stuff.
Right, but we also live in that day and age where people can be CG'd.
This is true.
They could have had a midget doing some mocap and then just, you know, CG'd her face on it. Who knows? But, I mean, it could have happened. And, you know, it's nice to see, and I watched the Red Band trailer. It's nice to see, like, Wolverine, like, killing people and being blood and gore and all that stuff. And I think it's finally time. It really feels right to have that R-rated Wolverine movie. I kind of wish that last one, The Wolverine, would have been a little bit more violent, but you know, if you think about it, it makes sense because you've got the X-Men movies that first came out in the mid to late 90s or early 2000s.
The first X-Men movie was either 99 or 2000.
Right. So even if you were 12, okay, when the first X-Men movie came out,
I was about to say
you're like going to be close to or already in your 30s by the time Logan comes out. So it makes sense for people that have been following these movies for a long time to give them the movie for the adults. And it's not like kids aren't going to come see that movie. You can take kids to R-rated movies. And, you know, we said it last week. You can find ways to watch R-rated movies, even if you live in a household that doesn't allow you to. So it's going to happen. But this one doesn't look like there's any kind of big spectacle that you normally would get with an X-Men movie or a superhero movie in general. You don't really see, you know, the with the buildings falling.
You just blow your voice out doing the
There's no like beam going into space that you see in so many of these movies and buildings crumbling and crushing. It's almost like this is the epilogue. That's the right term, right?
Yep.
The epilogue to all these crazy, you know, over the top, earth shattering, city crumbling, you know, millions upon millions of Man of Steel metropolises being, you know, mowed down by giant transforming robots. This is like the epilogue. This is like what happens 10 years later.
Yeah.
You know, and it's just Logan.
All the rest
and
of this
Professor
calm
X
down.
And a little girl trying to get somewhere. And they're being chased. And it looks like the bad guy, I can't remember his name, but he is based off one of the dudes in the comics. And I don't really read a whole lot of comics these days. But, you know, they're looking for the little girl. And if she is based on the X-23 character, then she is a clone of Logan. And it looks like his powers are diminishing, you know. It definitely looks like Professor X either doesn't have any powers at all or has very little. Maybe there was a accident in Cerebro or something that fried his brain, but he looks very, very frail.
Yeah.
And we do see a scene, though, where like people with guns are kind of like closing in on him from behind, but the screen's like shaking, you know, so maybe that's like the last little bit of his mind bullets that are going to do that. And, you know, we do see a scene where she's like holding Logan's hand and he's covered in blood. You know, what would you do if they killed Logan off in this movie?
I mean, it seems to me like that's kind of the way that they're going, because this is the last movie that they've got Hugh Jackman's contract movie. For. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, have him go out in a blaze of glory.
Why not? It's going to be interesting, and I'm glad that they're taking this risk with this character, because I think maybe pre-Deadpool they probably wouldn't have done that.
Oh no, they definitely wouldn't have done it.
But let's think about the future of the franchise, because they teased the Dark Phoenix story arc in X-Men Apocalypse.
Did they?
Yeah, with old Sansa Stark.
Yeah.
Her character. Yeah. And, you know, it would be weird, and I doubt they would make X-Men movies without Wolverine. So who would you cast as a Wolverine from here on out?
I mean,
Zac Efron?
The problem is, Wolverine wasn't in Apocalypse.
Yes, he was.
Briefly?
Yeah. He was in his Weapon X, remember?
Oh, yeah, that's right. Yeah.
He's been in every fucking X-Men movie, dude.
I had completely
Even if it was just a cameo, he's been in every single one.
Because Apocalypse was so disappointing.
Yeah.
It was all right, but yeah.
It was just all right. That's really it.
That was the problem.
It was just all right.
Yeah.
And that should have been a lot better.
They've got at least one more of these kind of prequel X-Men movies, but like the only time frame that they have left
is the 90s. Which
is like the lead up to the first X-Men movie. Right. We should have Famke Janssen Jean Grey by now. Or young Famke Janssen.
Yeah, I guess so. But I mean, we do. It's Sansa Stark. Whatever the hell her real name is.
McAvoy looks way too good to be the, 50, 60-year-old Professor X that we see in the first X-Men movie.
They can put makeup on him. Come on.
I mean,
that's the thing, though. It's a movie. You've got to have a willing suspension of disbelief.
Of course.
You have to.
I know, but
my question was, who would you cast to play Wolverine?
You said Zac Efron. Let's just go with that.
Okay.
I don't even want to think of a world that doesn't have Hugh Jackman Wolverine in it.
All right, folks, who would you cast to play Wolverine in a new X-Men movie?
Yeah.
Let us know below.